Today's video is going to be a couple days in my life without social media. And I actually don't have social media, so this is just like a normal couple days of my life. This is just how I live now. Oh.
This was one of the cutest bookstores I've ever been in my life. It was organized by a very niche category, which I thought was so cute. For example, this section was stuff you can't make up. This was an example of something I found in there. Bite. This section was mysteries that happened in a bookshop. And of course, you gotta love Stephen King, one of the best authors of all time. I have talked before on this channel about the importance of developing values. And one of my values is that I love eating turkey sandwiches on a beach day. I just think it is the most wonderful use of my time. I love laying out on the beach with nothing to do and nowhere to be, reading a great novel and enjoying a turkey sandwich. In between pages of my book, I enjoyed people watching, as this beach was very crowded on a very sunny, beautiful day in late August. I watched a father show his kids how to fly a kite for the very first time on a very windy day. You could see on his face that he was so scared to let his kids try, even though they were dancing excitedly waiting for their turn. It was such a lovely moment, and it just made me think I could have missed this entire thing had I been on my phone.
Hi, so it's time for a quick reading update. I spent a couple hours yesterday on the beach reading, and
This is my current read. It's The Sicilian Inheritance by Joe Piazza. It's a story that follows a female butcher, actually, from a large Italian family whose great aunt passed away, who she's extremely close with, kind of grew up with her. And she tells her, like, you need to go to Sicily, where our family's from, and doesn't really give her much information or much to go off of. And then every other chapter goes to her great grandmother, who lived in Sicily like in the 1920s, during a time when like all the men were moving to America to like work and provide for the women who were left on the island. And that story is really, really interesting. And so you kind of have two stories. You have the current day, which is the main character, Sarah, trying to figure out like what happened to my family, like what was the story with my great aunt, was she murdered? There's a mystery with that. Really good like mix of historical fiction and mystery that takes place in Italy. So if that sounds like something that appeals to you, that's The Sicilian Inheritance by Joe Piazza. Books. My audiobook is still Heartless Hunter, which I'm just absolutely loving as well. I think I'm like 78% done with it, so like almost done. Gosh, I love Heartless Hunter. I've never been so enraptured by a fantasy. I think it might be my favorite fantasy book ever. The slow burn of like when their hands like finally graze and you're just like, ah! So, okay, that's my reading update. I just finished up about 45 minutes of reading my textbook and taking notes. I'm in my first semester of graduate school to get my doctorate in nursing. I did literally one chapter of my textbook, and I have a lot more to do. So I'm feeling a little intimidated, but also really happy with my ability to pay attention and understand what I'm actually reading. Over a year ago now, I deleted Instagram and TikTok, and I didn't just delete the app from my phone, but I actually like deleted my account. And at that point, I was still like heavily addicted to my phone, heavily addicted. And that probably went on for like the majority of last year. So even though I was off social media, which was great, I was still like compulsively checking my phone. Probably it wasn't until I was out of the army and living at home in Connecticut, and I was reading this book called Stolen Focus, which is a really, really excellent book and something that I recommend everybody reads. But he talks about in there that we are losing our attention span, and it's actually like a lot deeper than like what we think. So, and the other thing is too is like replacing your smartphone addiction with something else. You can't just like wake up and choose boredom. I mean, that would be great. Actually, everybody watching this, please wake up and choose boredom. But if you don't want to do that, then you have to replace it with other meaningful hobbies. And one really, I think, great thing is healthy media consumption, right? So you don't have to stop using your phone. You don't have to stop using your computer. There's so many lovely long form content out there, like YouTube videos, like newsletters, Substack, and there's also podcasts, there's reading a novel, there's journaling, there's going into your own inner world. So all of those things I think are lost. One thing I have noticed really affect my attention span is my necessity to be looking at 2 screens at all times. I got to the point where I could no longer enjoy even a 30-minute show without needing to check my phone or do something else while it was on. This was extremely alarming to me, and one of the things that made me feel like, okay, I have got to change. This is getting crazy.
Is a PhD graduate.
The first thing is a genuine love of life. I am so much happier and I'm so much more present and in tune with my surroundings. I notice every little butterfly, every little flower. I'm able to pay attention through homework, reading for fun, through movies and TV, though those are the hardest for me, is like not wanting to go on my phone while I'm watching TV. That's very hard for me. Go out with friends and with my fiance and with my family, like not having the temptation on my phone. Like even if I hadn't checked my phone during a dinner with friends, I knew where my phone was and I was distracted by it, and now I'm so much more present with everyone in my life, like, and I genuinely enjoy their company and their conversation so much more than before. Like my ability to pay attention has completely transformed, and I'm like I feel like a completely different person. I feel like I'm living a different life, a much better life, a more rich, like vivid, wonderful life without my phone. The way I like to think about this is when you're bored, you kind of have two choices. You can either like move into like a meaningful hobby, or you can move backwards into a toxic one. So, in the example of phone use, that would be considered like a bad habit in the sense of I'm bored, I'm going to go to my phone, and I'm not going to be bored anymore, but I'm also not going to challenge myself. Now, when I'm bored, I don't have the option of doing short form media consumption. So my choices are I can do long form media consumption, which is a more conscious decision. So that would be something like YouTube, Netflix, a movie, a podcast, reading a book. Those are my options. Or I can go into a more creative pursuit, which would be something like journaling, drawing, writing. And ever since I was a kid, I've loved writing. If you know me, you know I love to write. Well, I completely lost that side of me, and I completely lost like my ability to like be creative. So I was basing like my life so much on other people's lives that I didn't even know what I liked and what made me happy, how I wanted to dress, etc., etc. So it really is that deep. It really is. I had like an absolute low point in crisis with anxiety. One thing that contributed was my addiction to my phone, into like instantly feeling better. What this means is when I felt discomfort in any way, I couldn't tolerate it, so I went to my phone. Or I've trained my brain into thinking I couldn't tolerate the discomfort, when in reality, discomfort is part of being human. For example, when I stopped recording this video, the rest of the night I'm going to be alone, and it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to feel lonely. I'm going to feel like, oh, I have no one to talk to. That's uncomfortable. But that's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable. In fact, it's necessary to be a human. So when you go to your phone and you see things immediately, and you're just like unable to process difficult emotions, you're just going to push them down and down and down until they come up in a crisis. And the crisis is going to look like crippling anxiety, probably, most likely, or really bad burnout, could even be depression. So this is just my experience, but I think that it's not healthy or normal to always push down negative emotions. And I'm not just talking about loneliness or boredom. I'm also talking about grief, sadness, frustration, anger. It's easier to look at your phone and forget what you were just upset about 5 seconds before. If you're still watching this video, that means you're highly considering getting off your phone once and for all and actually living your life. I have so much more I want to say on this topic, so if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below, and I would love to continue to make content like this for you, teaching you how I finally got off of my phone and into my real life and started living.